I'm back again with another episode of It Factor. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson. Today we got somebody special. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kyla Chanel. I'm from Danville, Virginia. I'm living in Atlanta now, doing my thing out here, trying to get in as much acting as I can. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And so in that, first off, how are you doing mentally, physically, emotionally? How was your
I'm doing pretty good. A little tired. I feel like my schedule kind of like catches up to me. I don't realize how busy I am until I'm actually like in the thick of it. So it's like catching up to me a little bit, but I'm doing pretty good. Just hanging in there.
Got you. I respect that. I respect that. So in that, like, what led you to want to be a full-fledged actor? Like what went behind that? Or how long has it been around?
It's been around for as long as I can remember.
Mhm.
So my family's into the arts. My mom's a writer, director, producer, all of that. My sister's in the arts, my grandmother, my aunt. So it's in my blood, pretty much you could say. And my first production was my mom's summer camp. I was 4 years old and I played a chipmunk. So that's how I got my little start to acting. And ever since then, it's kind of been like a hobby for me. But then once I got to 8th grade, my mom asked me if I wanted to take it seriously. And so she was like, if you want to take it seriously, I found a couple schools where you can go to for performing arts. So I was like, okay. She was like, but it will require us to move to North Carolina. So like I said, I'm from Danville, Virginia. So we would have to move to either High Point or Greensboro.
Oh, wow.
So we found one school, auditioned for it, Weaver Academy in Greensboro, and I got in. So we ended up moving that summer. And for 4 years, I was a theater major in high school. And then from then, I moved back to Virginia, went to Richmond, Virginia to study theater at VCU. And that's where I got my BFA in theater. So it's been around for a very long time. And I love it. I feel like this is what I've been put on this earth to do. So it's really like, you could definitely say it's my passion.
Got you. So in there, you working on anything as of now? Or anything you can tell me that you're working on?
Yeah, so right now I'm working on in the second weekend of July. I'll be playing Charisse as in the production When the Cats Come. It's by and directed by Darrell Daniels, and it's basically about some teenagers that kind of troubled, and the play kind of offers some solutions as to how we can like reach our youth and teach them better coping mechanisms and stuff like that. So it'll be pretty exciting.
I respect. I like that. I like that. So in that, how does your routine go for acting? If you have another job outside of acting, how do you balance the two? What's your routine for acting, at least?
So balancing acting with my full-time job is a task in itself. There have been times where, I moved here to do film and television, but I soon found out that Atlanta has a really good theater scene. So I've been kind of dabbling in that too. So, but for film and television, what we have to do is submit self-tape. So record ourselves, submit it onto a website, all that good stuff. And sometimes, like I said, the schedule will get a little ahead of me. So I'll be at work and get a reminder like, hey, you have an audition coming up. It's due today at 5 p.m. And I'm like, I get off at 5 p.m. So I'll have to take my lunch break. And luckily for me, I live really close to where I work. So I'll just drive home, make myself look presentable, do my self-tape. Like this is on my lunch break, do my self-tape, edit it, submit it, like on my way to work, back to work, like whatever, because I can do it on my phone. So balancing all of that is a task in itself. But when it comes to my routine for acting, I guess I'll answer the kind of the theater aspect because I feel like that's more interesting. So when I have a theater audition, 9 times out of 10, you'll get the script beforehand, before the audition, you'll get the full script. So before I even step into the room, I have to Google the play. I like to Google the writer, I like to Google past performances and like the theaters that it's been at, just so I kind of have a feel of their like target audience. So after I Google the play, I read the play. After I read the play fully, I then read it again, but just focus on the role that I'm auditioning for. Mm-hmm. Then after I do that, well, before I do anything performance wise, I pray first. I have to get my thoughts together. I have to just get my nerves together, make sure I'm speaking clearly, thinking clearly, all of that. So that's number one for me. I have to pray first before I audition, before I have performed. So that's number one for me. And then for a performance, I think it's been a while since I performed in theater. Actually, this coming up project will be my first theater project in Atlanta. So it's been a minute, but I think what I normally do, like while I'm getting my makeup done, doing my makeup and stuff, I like to listen to music. And depending on the show, it'll either be like hype music or calming music. Just depends on what my character is bringing. So like, for instance, for this one, I think I'll do more of a calming just because of the message. It deals a lot with mental health and suicide and stuff like that. So I feel like I'll need to be like on the calmer side versus maybe like a comedy where I would have more like upbeat hype music. Right. So I'll play some music while I'm getting ready. And then once I'm ready, I like to spitfire my lines, just go through it mentally, just make sure it's like second nature. And then once I'm ready to perform, I pray, and then it's lights on and it's time to act.
That's amazing. And I feel like that's going to take you far.
I hope so.
Doing it. I watched, like I said, my line brother do his thing, even while we was in school, and just the way that he does it is different. Mm-hmm. I have seen some actors, like big time actors, that don't even do it that way. And I just be like, nah. So just hearing your routine too, it's just like cool to know, like, dang, I know these people are like, they're doing this, how you get into the role, stuff like right. that. I can respect that. But a lot of people kind of, I don't think they go through all that to kind of get it. The fact that you're doing that, it's gonna set you different from the rest.
Yeah. And it's good to see that method too, because all you're seeing as an audience, even as an actor, sometimes I forget that these are, real people behind the character, and they actually, some of them have a process just like me. So it's really fun to see that process that people have, so you can see that result and see why it's the result it is.
Right. So in that, what is your it factor? Why you do what you do?
So I feel like my it factor, this may sound real like spiritual, but I really feel like my it factor is like favor. Because I feel like an it factor is kind of like what pushes you over, like the crowd, kind of what pushes you over the edge. And I really feel like the favor on my life is what my it factor is, because I feel like I'm talented. I feel like I know what I'm doing, but I definitely feel like that favor is what pushes me and is what my it factor is. And when it comes to why I do what I do, like I said, I feel like it's why I was put on this earth, and it's what it's the only thing that I thoroughly enjoy and like am good at and thoroughly enjoy. Because I've tried different things. Like I feel like I'm good at my full-time job, but I'm not trying to be doing that my whole life. Right. I don't enjoy waking up and just going to a 9 to 5. I don't enjoy that. So I feel like acting is the one thing that I'm really good at and that I enjoy. Also, I do it for the little girls who look like me. I really feel like having representation in the industry, on TV, wherever, in any field, is very important. So honestly, I really, really, that's like my driving force, is to be an example to little girls who look like me.
So with that, what would you tell somebody that's like, want to be in your shoes, that want to be in the acting segment or things of that nature? Like, what's some things they should be doing now? And like, what would you tell them? Like, what's just some advice you would give them?
It's funny because I think that people think that in order to act, you kind of have to be born into it, like I was. Mm-hmm. But my favorite actor, he was Candyman. He was in Ambulance, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. My favorite actor, and he started acting when in college, as one class. So I really think if it's something that you really want to do, don't let fear stop you. Don't let your lack, quote unquote, your lack of experience stop you. Because if that's something you really want to do and you put in the work and you do what you're supposed to do and you're focused, you can do it. Like, there's nothing stopping you but you. And advice, I would say, you're in that room, whatever that room may be, you're in that room for a reason. So make your voice heard. And of course, you take that with some wisdom. You speak when you're supposed to speak, and just don't be saying crazy stuff, but your opinion matters. You're in the room for a reason. So let your voice be heard.
Thank you. That's amazing. I think those are some good tips too. I feel like it's gonna be doable too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's so off. And actually, your favorite actor, that's my guy too. He becoming one of my guys. Seeing him in
Yeah.
Candyman, even though I had a different turn, I really liked it. I also, when I found out that the producer was a woman, I was just like, cool, with the help of like Jordan Peele. I was like, okay, cool. Because I can't wait till, what is it, Note come up? I can't wait till that come up.
Yes.
Can't wait till it comes
Yeah.
up.
And the thing I like about Yaya, he's such a dynamic actor. Like none of his roles to me are the same.
Nope.
He's
They are
different
all
in
different.
every single role. Like, and to me, that's awesome for me to see, because growing up in my training, because I was in a predominantly white school.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing like the token Black girl roles. I was playing the sassy girl and had the attitude. So honestly, like growing up, I really thought I really either had to play the attitudinal best friend or the slave. Honestly, in my head, that's what I thought. I was just like, well, this is my portion. Like this is what this is what's gonna happen. But seeing him, I listened to a podcast he did, and he was just talking about how you don't have to stay in that box. And I know it's so cliche, I know it's like duh, but hearing somebody, especially another Black person, say that, it's like a light bulb went off into my head. And honestly, ever since that podcast, I have definitely like changed how I go about different characters. I've allowed myself to be freer in my auditions, and it's helped me a lot, knowing that I don't have to be in a box just because of how I look.
Got you. I respect that. I respect that. So what's something that you would like to see change in the acting industry or in the industry that you're in?
One thing, I can name a couple, but one thing I would say is the pay gap between women and men.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a couple stories that come to mind when I think about the pay gap. After the fact, women will be interviewed and talk about how, they weren't paid as much as they should have, and they told their male co-stars. And, I've only heard of the Black ones, but I'm sure there have been others, but the Black ones like Will Smith, just recently, Ajane Ellis from King Richard, I don't know if you saw that, they were co-stars, and Will Smith actually took part of his paycheck and gave her money because she wasn't paid as much as she should have been paid. So that's one thing I would definitely see change, because I feel like it's 2022. Like that whole thing is tired. Like women not getting paid as much as they should. That's old, outdated. Like do away with it. It should have never been a thing, but like especially now, it's tired.
Everybody should get paid. I feel like any dynamic, no matter what you're doing, I feel like everybody should be paid equally because you do the same equally work. Sometimes, especially in me and being in the tech field, I have seen women go above and beyond what the work every day. So I'm just saying, like, it's sometimes I just see stuff that you guys do that just throw me like, hey man, and I hear that thing about pay, and I'm like, man, I don't even understand that. And there's a lot of other things that I don't understand why it's like that for women.
Right.
They want to give you the rights and say we diverse and we do this, and this is all companies say we gotta do this, and it's on every level though. You can be like a big name person, like a celebrity, you in a movie, and you're not getting paid for it. Then trying to get a raise at a job, you doing the work, but you can't get a. So it's like, where's the balance here? Or like, where's the equality?
Right.
That's the
Right.
thing I would love to see that. But like another thing I wanted to bring up to you is like an open topic. You tell me how you feel. My line brother went to CAU, you went to VCU.
Mm-hmm.
So in those two different schools, granted it's an HBCU and that's a PWI. To me, it doesn't matter. I feel like in the acting industry, as good as both of you are, I just wanted to know, like, how do you feel about people trying to build that reel or like build a thing, their resume, so that it can be in a big movie or like a big show? Like, if that's their admiration, like, why do you think it's so hard to do that? And like, how do you think they can be changed?
When it comes to like colleges.
Yeah, like anything, like even when you get out of college, like say you graduated, right? Everybody graduate and you're looking for jobs. Like you got an agent and you're doing everything you can do. You're in plays and all this stuff. And that break don't come. And you got to keep putting the work in. how do you think it can be different, like to where somebody does help you to say, hey man, we got this, you really fit the role, let me pull you to the side, like type thing, like more of an easier way of doing it?
I really feel like this industry, it's really, I saw a video yesterday and it definitely like convicted me because I'm like, dang, I want it so fast. Like I want it now. I want it. I want it all right now.
Right.
And this woman was like, it's gonna happen in its own timeline. And to me, that is so hard to accept.
Yeah.
It's so hard to accept for me. But I feel like it can be hard to like make that come up just because of who you know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I feel like I can say this now that I've been living here for a few years. I feel like Atlanta is all about big names.
Yeah.
It's like if I hear love this man, he's done great for the community. But if I hear one more time, you should call Tyler Perry. Have you been in a Tyler? Like, oh, he is not. He is not the only one.
Yeah, that can't be the only way. And
it's not. It's not. It really isn't. It's not the only way.
That ain't even how network work. You know, I'm working on a book now called The Art of Networking.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, I meet so many people like yourself, and I put it in a category of saying big name people like a Tyler Perry versus the common person. We're not that different. It's just in the person, the rooms we sit in, and the people that we know. And I feel like a lot of times we all say, okay, yeah, call Tyler Perry, dude. And it's like, that's not the only person. Derek over here knows some people. You know, Kayla knows some people. They know, they might not be there yet, but they know them. And it's like, I hate that we pick that big name in the box. Granted, you know, great. I give him his flowers. I'm proud of what he's doing. You know, I want him to do some other type of movies too. But like at the end of the day, I respect what he's doing. And it's like, I dislike that I hear that name all the time. And another thing I would say, since you one of my first actors I had, is also the fact that now y'all have to fight the battle of people coming from outside the country to come in and take certain roles that I look and you find out once they're in the podcast like that they're from London or something. And
right.
You couldn't go to Compton and get this person. Like you couldn't go.
I never thought about that. I do think it's interesting because it would take you having to like watch a video interview or listen to a podcast to realize that these people are from London. A lot of them are from the UK, but I never thought about that. And I'm all for, like I said, representation. Like I feel like if you want to cast a Black, if you need in your cast a Black overweight woman,
yes,
you don't need to put a skinny Black woman in a fat suit.
Right.
There are so many beautiful, talented, overweight, quote unquote, Black women that can act their behinds off. Like I don't feel like it's funny that you brought that up because I never thought of it in that way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, and I mean, in this profession now, it's questions that not asked. Mm-hmm. Like, I pull on that person, right? Like if what's the guy named Idris was the call, yeah, I want to come on your show. I'm gonna interview him. But one of my things is gonna be like, no disrespect, my guy, but like, how do you feel not being from America and you getting all these American roles? Mm-hmm. You having to switch yourself, like you have to switch how you talk, all those type of things. And it's somebody here that can literally do the same thing that you're doing. Like, and it ain't nothing bad at the end of the day. I'm about uplifting our people, you know, no matter where they're from. But at the end of the day, it's like, I do think about that, like, dang, we watching movies, I'm like the Spencer James story. I'm like, dang, why in the world can this be a dude from Cali? Like this could have been a guy from Cali. And
instead of taking the accent, you could have got somebody that's from there, and they got the authentic accent. I don't know. I gotta look more into that though.
So enough about that. You know, my thing is this though. At the end of the day, what is one of your ultimate life goals? It can be anything. It can be more than one. You know.
I feel like I've never been asked that question, so that's like heavy. But the first thing that comes to my mind isn't acting, it's being a mom and a wife. Cause anybody who knows me, they know I'm obsessed with kids. I've been wanting to get married since I was like 2. Oh, like I would go to church in a white dress and act like I was getting married. Like that's something that I even told my mom. Like, I was like, acting is up here, and like being a wife and a mom is like
That's cool.
right
That's
there. Yeah.
perfect. That's my
So
first time
when
hearing.
I think of so when I think of my ultimate life goal, I really just want to be peaceful. Like, I want to have peace of mind, just have peace all around me,
Mhm.
happiness, be able to, of course, have my own family and be able to care for my extended family, like the people that cultivated who I am and what I'm becoming and what I'll be. So being able to help my family, being able to help my community back home, especially because I feel like we need a lot of work back there. So just really, and of course, then comes the acting. I would love to be, my ultimate goal is to be a household name as far as acting goes, and just my influence and how I make people feel. So ultimately, life goal, wife, mom, peace, acting, and just helping my community and my family.
Ooh. And I like that. Out of 100 and some people in 3 years of me doing this, I never heard it. And I definitely love that you want to be, a mom and you want to have peace.
Yeah.
I definitely, in a family woman, that's amazing because like a lot of people don't say that, like I don't have that goal. And it's like, I understand you got your goal,
Right.
we understand that it's not cool, but it's cool to hear that. Like that
Yeah.
really make me feel good, really do.
Mm.
So before we close out, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. Where do you see yourself taking this podcast? I feel like you've done a lot of, I've seen on YouTube, you've interviewed a lot of great people. Have a pretty good name for yourself, I think, so far, in my opinion. So where do you want to take it?
So I just want to keep growing the podcast. Like I said, I'm writing a book now, The Art of Networking. I do different speaking engagement, things of that nature. And what I want to do is just keep growing it to the point of where I bring on people like yourself, all
Mhm.
type of people, to where we build a network to where we can start getting together, having lunch and stuff like that, speak out, pick each other brains, to where that name like Tyler Perry is not the only name called. It's like, hey, he knows so and so. Oh, that's
Right.
his cousin. Okay, cool. That's the type of thing I'm trying to build with my network, to get it to the point to where it's replicable for people to see, like, okay, that's Kayla. Oh, I got a role coming up. That's what, let me call Jeremy real quick. So
Right.
that's what I'm trying to get at. And every time I interview somebody and they ask me, that question, I definitely know that I'm in the right alignment, because it'd be that same type of answer, like trying to just network and help people just change the narrative of thinking that like the only way to get on is like by doing something, or you got to do this, or you got to interview this person, or you got to do this. And it's like, nah. So that's my biggest thing when it comes to the podcast.
Yeah, I like that, changing the narrative. I was just talking to my mom about how I think, or we sometimes think, that something's supposed to happen one way, of like, because it's in my mind, that's how it's gonna happen, how it's supposed to happen. When a lot of times because we're out of control, that's literally not how it's gonna happen.
Yeah, nah. And it's just like you touched on earlier, like in due time it'll happen. Like,
Hmm.
that's where my faith in God comes in as well. Like this whole time I've been doing this podcast, my fiance tells me all the time, like in 5 years, you're gonna be famous. Like this is gonna be blowing up. And the thing that's crazy is every time I think that something goes wrong with the podcast, it always comes back in positivity. Like, so with my faith, I see that, like, dang, I'm doing the right thing. And it's the one thing in life that, like, dang, I really like to do this. I like to interview people. It's cool, and it just keep growing. So with that, I'm just thankful for it. Very
That's
thankful.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, with that, that's pretty much the episode. That's it. Thank you so much for your time today. And
Thank you for having me.
I hope to talk to you soon.
Yes, you too.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.